So yesterday I explained force of buoyancy, right? Force of buoyancy, always remember it is F2 minus F1. That F2 minus F1 is equal to weight of the liquid displaced. That weight of the liquid displaced is equal to the weight of the liquid displaced is nothing but force of buoyancy, that equal to volume of the solid inside the liquid into density of the liquid into G. This is the force of buoyancy. Okay. Now we see loss of flotation. So important here, loss of flotation, loss of flotation means flotation. Suppose if density of solid is less than density of liquid, and if you immerse such a if you immerse such a solid, then it keeps floating. So it keeps floating so that entire volume will not be inside the liquid. Say rho L is the density of liquid, rho S is the density of solid. So children, always remember the force of buoyancy will be acting from center of mass of liquid displaced. So this is where liquid has been displaced, right? So from this center, force of buoyancy will start acting from this center. This is force of buoyancy. But weight will be acting from the center of mass of the body. That will be somewhere here. So weight will be acting from the center of mass of the body, but force of buoyancy will be acting from the center of mass of the liquid displaced. If the complete volume of the solid is submerged, then both will coincide. Both will coincide. Now, so in this case here, why it is floating? Why the solid is floating? Force of buoyancy will be equal to weight. The force of buoyancy balances weight. When force of buoyancy, see this, so what is the formula for force of buoyancy? See, Vi is the volume of the solid inside. Vi into density of liquid into G equal to, so W equal to mg. While calculating the mass of the solid, okay, so this Gg gets cancelled. While calculating the mass of the solid, you have to take complete volume into density of solid. Now we can write Vi by V equal to rho S by rho L. So what is, Vi is volume inside, volume of the solid immersed. Right here. Vi is volume of solid inside the liquid. Volume of solid immersed. It is also equal to volume of liquid displaced. It is also equal to volume of liquid displaced. Volume of liquid displaced. Volume of liquid displaced. V is the total volume of the solid. V is total volume of solid. Total volume of the solid. Then rho S is density of solid. Density of solid. Rho L is density of liquid. Density of liquid. Okay. So Vi by V is fraction of volume immersed. They may ask you fraction of volume immersed. Fraction of volume immersed. Fraction of volume immersed is Vi by V, which is equal to rho S by rho L. Now they may ask you what is the fraction outside? Fraction of volume outside. Fraction of volume outside. Bahar. So, jitna volume So बाहर में रहेगा, liquid के बाहर में रहेगा. How much volume will be outside? Fraction of volume. So V out by V is equal to 1 minus VI by V, which is equal to 1 minus rho S by rho L. So which is equal to rho L minus rho S by rho L. So copy करिए. Okay, my dear students, मेरा प्यार का बच्चे, copy that. Done. Now you can also define one more term here, that is apparent weight. Apparent weight. Apparent weight is the weight of any. Sorry, have you taken force? Force as volume into density. Not force as volume into density. Mass is volume into density. G cancel हो गया ना? I cancelled G no. On both sides G is same. G acceleration due to gravity. G cancel होने के बाद किधर रहेगा G? Why do you bring the G again there? Okay. Next. हो गया? Done? मुगीता? Right. Now I'm going to define here apparent weight. What is apparent weight? Apparent weight is the weight of any solid inside the liquid. For example, you hold a stone. When you hold the stone in our hand in air, so it will weigh more. Am I correct? The same stone, if it is immersed in the liquid by being holding, that is by holding that stone, you immerse that in the liquid or water. So how much it weigh? Will it weigh more or less? It will weigh more or less? Huh? Less only, right? That less weight is apparent weight. The weight of solid in any liquid will decrease, and so you don't feel the real weight, the true weight of the solid inside any liquid. So that weight is called apparent weight. Okay, so what is the formula for apparent weight? Apparent weight, the formula for apparent weight is this. The formula for apparent weight, W app is not apparent weight is equal to true weight. True. So to get the true weight, you have to take that in air. You have to weigh that in air minus force of buoyancy. This is the formula for apparent weight. In this case, in the first case of loss of flotation, density of solid equal to density of liquid, right? Both are equal, right? So apparent weight is equal to, see here, force of buoyancy is equal to true weight. Already just now we have written, right? Force of buoyancy is equal to weight. That's why it is floating. So it is equal to true weight. So it is 0. Apparent weight is 0. That's why here, children, you place your hand below. You place your hand below here. Of course, your hand cannot be that much long. Okay. So if you place your hand below that, do you feel any weight for that solid? Do you feel any weight for that solid? No, right? So apparent little, even little also will not be there. Why? Because it is floating on its own. It is staying stable on its own. Why you have to exert any force? Without you exerting any force, it is floating already. Okay. So if you ask that body, hey, shall I help you? Hey, shall I? I'm floating myself. My force of buoyancy is balancing my weight. Okay. So go. So it will No, scold you like anything. So you don't have to do anything. You don't have to exert any force there. Already it is floating. Okay, so you don't feel any weight there. That's why apparent weight is zero. Apparent weight is zero here. You understood, children? Okay, that is apparent weight. The weight of solid in any liquid. Okay. So understood, Mataya? Okay. So again, don't ask me why it has become zero, sir. Okay, next, second laws of rotation. Second. So all of you copied this. Second. I am erasing this. Okay. Why suddenly stop replying? 1 minute. Okay, okay, okay. Some object drown, sir. Some objects will drown, sir. That is the third case, sir. I'll come to that, sir. Yeah. Some objects will sink to the bottom. Yeah. So yeah, that is the third case, sir. I'll come. I'll come. Wait, wait. Tamba, tamba, tali, tali. Okay. Done. Why you were drawing those long hands also? Okay. Right, right, right. Next, second laws of rotation. If density of solid is equal to density of liquid. So if density of solid is equal to density of the liquid, then what will happen? See here. So better many people are afraid that don't skip. That's why I'm teaching this. Elanka people. So you listen again. It's one kind of revision for you. So now, so if I immerse a solid, if I immerse a solid whose density is exactly equal to density of liquid, then complete volume of the solid will be inside the liquid. Complete volume of the solid will go into the liquid and it will immerse. But in this case, children, you remember wherever you place the solid, it will stay there. If you place if you place the solid at the bottom, it will stay there. If you place the bottom here, it will stay here. If you place the solid here, it will stay there. Wherever you place, so it will stay there. If you place the solid just below the surface, it will stay there. But complete volume will be submerged. Complete volume will be inside the liquid. So now, yes. So here again, how many forces will be acting here? Now, since the complete volume is submerged, so force of buoyancy will start acting from this center, and even weight also will be acting from this center. Okay. So force of buoyancy in this case is also force of buoyancy equal to weight. So V rho S. So force of buoyancy. What is the formula for force of buoyancy? So you know what is the formula for force of buoyancy? Volume of the solid immersed. Here complete volume has been submerged. Density of the liquid into G. So here mass, weight, volume of the solid into density of the solid into G. So V gets cancelled. Complete volume is submerged. G gets cancelled. That's how you got rho L is equal to rho S. Rho S. And rho S by rho L, so equal to 1. Okay. So rho S by rho L. Okay. That you know both are equal. Here, what is apparent weight? Here also apparent weight will become 0. Apparent weight equal to true weight. True weight minus force of buoyancy. For true weight, I gave suffix T. So true weight is true weight. Force of buoyancy also equal to true weight. So minus, so that is equal to 0. Equal to 0. So quickly copy that. Then we go to the third law of flotation, where the body will sink to the bottom. Done. 10 seconds. 9 seconds. What if you place at the base? If you place at the base, it will stay there. In this case, if you place at the bottom, it will stay there. Wherever you place the solid, in this case, it will stay there only. Okay, so it will not come out of that place until you go and disturb it. So until you go and so exert some other force, it will not move. V stands for volume. Ayo Ramchandra. Govinda, Govinda. V is volume of solid. Volume of the solid. Volume of the object. Okay. Sir, what if it is placed to the surface with some part outside and some part inside? Okay. If you place in this case, if you place with some volume outside and some volume inside, immediately it will go to the, immediately next step is, and if you leave to itself, it will go, but it will go and completely submerge. If we leave at this stage, so on its own it will go to the go inside the liquid completely, if density of solid is equal to density of the liquid. Okay, so immediately it will go, so that complete volume of solid will be inside the liquid. Okay, children. Right, next we go to the next one. Okay, next, third law of flotation, submarine. Okay, maybe submarine. Okay, it can come out also, right? Can come. Okay, we'll say, I'll give you later. Third, so if density of solid is greater than density of the liquid, then it will sink to the bottom. It will sink to the bottom and it will stay in the bottom. So in this case, so here it will go and sink to the bottom, and here, so force of buoyancy will be there. It will be acting from the center only. Okay, so weight will be there, but weight is more than force of buoyancy. So the weight can, so the force of buoyancy cannot balance here, and so it stays in equilibrium. It stays in equilibrium because of normal reaction also. The bottom will exert normal reaction as well. Okay, here that normal reaction is nothing but apparent weight. Okay, so now under the action of these three forces, why? Because it sinks to the bottom. To go to the bottom will exert normal reaction upward. Now sum of upward force will be equal to sum of downward force, and so here normal reaction is apparent weight. So true weight minus force of buoyancy is nothing but apparent weight. Remember. So now, children, suppose the density of solid is greater than density of liquid, and if you hold such a solid in our hand, if you hold such a solid in our hand, okay, suppose one student is holding this, okay, right. Now, so actually here density of solid is greater than density of the liquid. So if you leave your hands, it should go to the bottom, right? It will go and sink. Suppose the same person so has weighed this the same solid by holding it in the air. Where it will weigh more, in the air or in the liquid? Air or liquid? Where it will weigh more? Huh? Weigh more. Where it will have more weight? Where you feel more weight? In the air. So the same solid, if it is immersed inside the liquid, it will weigh less. Weigh means weighing. Okay. So it will weigh less in the liquid, right? So now you will feel some normal reaction on your hands. Normal reaction, on your hands is equal to the normal reaction on the solid as well. So now it is in equilibrium. What are the forces acting? Force of buoyancy. Okay. So weight, true weight, and normal reaction by your hand. So now solid is our system, normal reaction by your hand. So here normal reaction is nothing but apparent weight. So true weight minus force of buoyancy. So this is nothing but apparent weight. It's not zero. It's not zero. Normal reaction is not zero. Apparent weight is not zero. Okay. The sum of all the forces is zero, but I am calculating only apparent weight. Apparent weight is the normal reaction felt on your hands. So force exerted by solid on our hands. So the force exerted by the solid on our hands is the apparent weight. Remember. So this is the apparent weight. This has many applications. So apparent weight will be given. The weight of the solid will be given in the air, and the weight of the solid will be given inside the liquid. From that, we can calculate the force of buoyancy. For example, I have, okay, I'll give a question like this. An ornament. Ornament is also solid, right? Ornament made of gold and copper or only gold. Children, ornament. An ornament weighs, okay, so an ornament weighs say 36 grams, 36 into G. Is a gram weight, 36 gram in air. in air. And it weighs the same ornament. So if it is immersed in the liquid and if it is held the hand, so it weighs only 34 gram, 34 gram in water, in water. Now what is force of buoyancy? Now tell me, what is 36 G, 36 into G? What is that 36 into G? What is that 36 into G? True weight, real weight. What is that 34 into G? What is that 34 into G? Apparent weight. Now, what is the formula for apparent weight? Apparent weight or normal reaction is equal to, so true weight minus force of buoyancy. So now, so apparent weight, this is apparent weight, 34 gram, 34 into G equal to, so it is 36, 36 into G minus force of buoyancy. Now, we can get the force of buoyancy. Force of buoyancy equal to 2 into G. So, children, if you can weigh the ornament in the air and water separately, you will get force of buoyancy. Ornament, the density of gold and copper is definitely more than water. Okay, so that's why it will try to sink. But so to prevent that sinking, you have to hold the ornament with your hand and you have to weigh. So you can take the weight inside the water and you can take the weight outside the water. And with the help of that, you will get force of buoyancy. This has many, many applications. So what is the main advantage of calculating force of buoyancy from these two weights, from apparent weight and from uh, true weight? See, ornament may contain copper and gold. Ornament majorly, so it contains gold. It consists of gold, and there will be some copper also mixed with it. Some copper also will be mixed. So children, remember. So why do you mix a copper with the gold? Why don't you make any gold ornament with the pure gold? If you use pure gold is not strong enough. So sometimes it melts. Sometimes it melts and also it bends. It is not strong enough. To give strength to the gold, so they mix copper. So generally, how much copper they have to mix? Generally, they have to mix 8.4% of copper, 8.4% of copper. So if we mix 8.4% of copper by mass, then what is this is copper. What will be the remaining percentage? Gold. So 91.6 percentage of gold should be there in any ornament. So this is called 22 karat gold. So you might have heard the news. Okay, the price of 22 karat gold is this much. The price of 24 karat gold is this much. You might have heard, right? You might have heard. Okay, so this 22 karat gold, okay, so is also called 916 kdm gold. Kdm gold. What is the meaning of 916? See, 916 numbers. 91.6 percentage of gold should be there. 916 kdm gold. Yeah, I come to that BAS also. 916 kdm gold or 22 karat gold, both are same. So in that gold, 91.6% of gold should be there, my mass, and 8.4% copper should be there. Suppose instead of using copper, so if the gold contains complete, if the ornament contains complete gold, then it is called 24 karat gold, 24K gold, 100%, and not 100%, 99.99% it would be. Okay. Now, so any ornament, if you go to any jewelry shop, okay, don't think that I am going out of the topic. I am very much in the topic. Why? Because how they estimate the amount of copper based on this force of buoyancy. Of course, now scanners have come. Now scanners have come, and all that the scanners they will do. But basically, in the olden days, how they used to do. So now, any if you go to any jewelry shop, there, okay, so there you ask them to show BIS hallmark. There will be one triangular shaped hallmark. Triangular. BIS, Bullion Indian Standard. So if that ornament contains that BIS hallmark, then in that ornament, definitely there will be 91.6% of gold and 8.4% of copper. If that hallmark is not present in the ornament, then that jewelry shop person may mix, they may keep only 80% of gold and he may mix 20% of copper, or he may keep only 70% of gold or 30% of copper, so to get benefit out of it. If there is BIS hallmark, then only, so there will be definitely 91.6% of gold. Okay, how to estimate this? Okay, from physics. All of you copied that? This you remember. How to estimate this? From this, so we got force of buoyancy, right? Force of buoyancy. Okay, so understood all of you? Now how, all of you, now how to estimate that? See this. Suppose this is ornament, ornament inside. Okay, so inside, so if you immerse that ornament inside the liquid, inside the water, it weighs less. So in this ornament, there will be some volume of copper, some mass of copper. Say this is the volume of copper, this is the volume of gold. Now, what is the force of buoyancy? Just now we got force of buoyancy equal to 2 into G from the two weights. What is the formula for force of buoyancy? Volume of the solid immersed, density of the liquid into G equal to 2 into G. Of course, this G gets cancelled. So volume into density into L is equal to 2. Now, what is this volume? This is the volume of the ornament, right? Volume of the ornament. So now, in this volume, we have volume of gold and also we have volume of copper. Volume of copper into density into L equal to 2. So you will get easily the density of gold. Okay, so mass of gold, suppose you want to calculate mass of gold equal to volume of gold into density of gold. Okay, the density of gold you can easily get. Similarly, mass of copper is equal to, so volume of copper into density of copper. Now, in place of this volume of gold, what I can write? Mass of gold divided by density of gold. So plus, in place of volume of copper, what can I write? So mass of copper divided by density of copper. So equal to 2, equal to 2. Say this is equation number 1. Substitute density of gold, density of copper. So 2, you know, there are two unknown quantities. One more quantity, one more equation you can write. Mass of gold plus mass of copper together is 36 in air. Am I correct? Is 36 gram. Okay, now we have two equations. How many unknowns we have? 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 We have to calculate the mass of the copper. Mass of the copper. Two unknowns. What are the two unknowns? Mass of gold, mass of copper. Okay. Rho L. Okay. Sorry. Rho L. Yeah. Rho L is there. Yes. Thank you. Rho L. That is the density of liquid equal to 2. This is equation number 1. Okay. Now, rho L will be known. If it is water, it is 10 cubed. Now, children, there are two unknowns and two equations. You solve them, you will get mass of copper and mass of gold. If mass of gold is less than 91.6% by mass, then that gold shop wala has deceived you. Okay, so if it is 91.6% by mass, then it is correct. So you can estimate the amount of gold and the amount of copper with the help of this force of buoyancy concept. Okay, nice, right? Physics will do everything for you. Okay, so physics will help you to how to buy a gold, correct gold. Okay, so this concept you remember, this form, this model is very important. This model, and sometimes what they do, no, sometimes they make a hole, so you can shop owner can't fool us now from now. Yeah, yes. So we have been fooled till now. Yeah, okay. Sometimes there may be cavities inside. There may be cavities inside. Okay, you can also estimate the cavities also. You can also find the cavities also. So by volume, so how much cavity is present? Okay, so if the ornament contains pure gold and only cavities, then here you have to substitute, here you have to calculate only volume of gold. Okay, so if the volume of the gold Well, from calculations, if it comes more than the weight, so then there will be cavity. So you can also estimate if at all a cavity is present inside, some hole is present inside. Okay, children? Right. So understood? Copy that. Done? Okay. Then we'll see force of buoyancy in mixture of two liquids. Sir, weight is equal to 2 Ayo Ramchandra. That is force of buoyancy, man. Previously I gave no force of buoyancy. An example I gave no. An ornament weighs 36 gram in air. It weighs 34 gram in water. Then what is force of buoyancy? Force of buoyancy is 2G. Just now I told you, right? Huh? Done. Shall we go further? Here, okay, here you can see if force of buoyancy is 2G, that much. If it is 4G, 4G. If it is 5G, 5G. Okay, not Reliance 5G. This 5G. Okay, 5 into G. Right. Done. Suppose they may give question like this. So an ornament weighs 40 gram in air, 40 G in air, and 30 G in water. Now, what is force of buoyancy? Muttaya, what is force of buoyancy? Children, tell me, what is the force of buoyancy now? Directly difference, 10 into G, difference. Then you have to substitute here force of buoyancy equal to 10 into G. It all depends on how much weight they give for air in the air, how much weight they give in the liquid. Okay, so in all the problems, don't substitute 2G. In all the problems, don't substitute 2 into G. GG gets cancelled anyhow. You can convert that into, see, if it is given in a gram, you can convert that into kg. Okay, done, said done. Shall I go further? For anything you don't answer. Then, force of buoyancy in the mixture of two liquids. Very, very important. Force of buoyancy. Force of buoyancy in two liquids. In two liquids. Okay. Now, force of buoyancy in two liquids. Suppose I have water and kerosene, or I have two any other liquids, and a solid is floating such a way that there are two liquids. Okay. Now there is a solid which is floating in both the liquids, and this is the interface which splits the two liquids, but the solid is floating in both the liquids. There is means with some volume in the first liquid and with some other volume in the remaining volume in the second liquid. Rho 1 is the density of first liquid, rho 2 is the density of second. Okay, right. Now here what is what type of questions will be asked here? They may ask you what fraction of volume is submerged in the first liquid, what fraction of volume of the solid is submerged in the second liquid, or else so they'll give rho 1 and rho 2. The base density of both the liquids will be given, and they may ask you what is the density of solid. What is the density of solid? So now how to solve these two types? So see, children, when a solid is floating, like this, it is not sinking to the bottom, it is floating. So that some volume is in the first liquid and the remaining volume in the second liquid. In this case, both the liquids will exert force of buoyancy. See, first liquid will exert force of buoyancy uh, from the center of this volume. This is FB1, force of buoyancy by first liquid. Second liquid will exert force of buoyancy from the center of this volume. This is force of buoyancy by second liquid. Both will be upward. Now weight will be downward. Weight will be acting from the center of mass of the solid, W. Weight, W equal to mg. Okay. Now there are two forces of buoyancy exerted by two different liquids. Okay. And say V1 is the volume of solid in the first liquid, V2 is the volume of solid in the second liquid, and here V is the total volume, V equal to V1 plus V2. Am I correct? Equation number 1. And rho is the density of solid. Now, for equilibrium, what you can write? Force of buoyancy by first liquid plus force of buoyancy by the second liquid should be equal to W. What is the formula for force of buoyancy by any liquid? See, children. What is the force of buoyancy? Volume of solid submerged into density of the liquid into G. Okay, now what volume of solid is submerged in the first liquid? Only V1. So force of buoyancy by the first liquid is that volume into that density of liquid into G. Now, what is the force of buoyancy by second liquid? The volume of solid in that liquid, that density of the liquid into G equal to mg. Mg you can write total volume. Now we are calculating the weight of the solid. While calculating the weight of the solid, you have to take total volume to density of solid into G. Rho S you can see, density of solid. Understood, children? So G cancel हो जाएगा. V1 rho 1 plus V2 rho 2 equal to V into rho S. Now first I am calculating fraction of volume in the first liquid. Okay, I didn't understand, Akshita. Okay, Akshita from Alanka, I taught this concept in Alanka. Huh? What you didn't understand? Akshita L, na? Sir, the diagram. What you didn't understand? Where? Okay, forget about the point from where forces of buoyancy are acting. Okay, now tell me this, answer this question. What volume of solid is in the first liquid? Tell me. V1 now. Okay. Now, how much volume of first liquid is being displaced because of this fellow, because of this solid? Because of this solid, because of this fellow has come here, means this fellow means solid. Because of this solid, how much volume of first liquid has been displaced? Tell me, how much volume of first liquid has been displaced from that place? My 2, my by 2, or my by 2. V1 is not equal to V2 here. V1 is not equal to V2. Okay, in the diagram it might appear like that, but both are not equal. Mg by 2. After teaching so much, still you are asking basic questions. After narrating the entire Ramayana, you are asking like, who is Sita to Ram? Govinda. Okay, what is the formula for force of buoyancy? Tell me. No, my question is, see, I am asking something and you are answering something. My question is, what is the volume of first liquid displaced from that place because of that solid? V1, that's it. V1. How much volume of solid is in the first liquid? How much volume of the solid is in the first liquid? V1. How much volume of solid will be there in the first liquid? That much volume will be displaced. That amount of that volume of first liquid will be displaced. That's it. What is the volume of the liquid? This first liquid displaced? Tell me, what is the volume of the first liquid displaced? Equal to V1. V1. This is the volume of first liquid displaced. Volume of first liquid. That means we have to write steps also, I think. Volume of first liquid displaced. Am I correct? Volume of the first liquid displaced into density of liquid becomes what, children? Mass of the first liquid displaced. Am I correct? Am I correct? Yes or no? Mass into density gives you what, children? Force of buoyancy. Okay, mass into density gives you, right? Force of weight, force of buoyancy. That means mass into density gives weight of the liquid displaced. Isn't it the weight of the liquid displaced? Isn't it the weight of the liquid displaced? Volume of the liquid displaced into density gives you mass of the liquid displaced. Mass into G gives you weight of the liquid displaced. Weight of the liquid displaced is equal to force of buoyancy exerted by that liquid. Understood? Understood, children? First, you understand. First, you understand what volume of first liquid is displaced. V1. Volume of liquid, first liquid displaced into density of first liquid is mass into G is weight. This is the weight of the liquid displaced, first liquid displaced, and that is the force of buoyancy exerted by that liquid. Yesterday I gave the formula, right? It is equal to, say, force of buoyancy is equal to weight of the liquid displaced. Have I given or not? Yesterday. Yesterday you were sleeping, huh? And you didn't revise all those formulae. Children, what is force of buoyancy? Weight of the liquid displaced, weight of the liquid displaced, okay, is also equal to volume of the solid submerged into density of the liquid into G. It is nothing but weight of the liquid displaced. Nothing but weight of the liquid displaced. Okay, understood now, Akshita? Now, what is the weight of the second liquid displaced? This is the weight of the second liquid displaced. Am I correct? What is the volume of liquid, the second liquid that is displaced? V2. Volume into density gives you mass. Mass into G gives you weight of the liquid displaced. Weight of the liquid displaced is nothing but force of buoyancy exerted by that liquid. Both will be upward. Both will be upward. Okay. Now, this is rho s. Okay, V into rho s. Now, I want to calculate V1 by V. For that, so I have to eliminate V2. What is V2? V2 from equation number 1. V2 equal to V minus V1. So substitute in the second equation. V1 rho 1. So plus V minus V1 into rho 2 equal to V into rho s. Okay. So now V1 rho 1 plus V into rho 2 minus V1 rho 2 equal to V into rho s. Okay. So now we want V1. So V1 is equal to what? Rho 1 minus rho 2. Okay. So is equal to V rho s minus rho 2. Am I correct? So V1 by V, we want V1 by V equal to, okay. So rho s minus rho 2 divided by rho 1 minus rho 2. This is the fraction of volume of the first liquid. This is the fraction of volume submerged in the first liquid. Similarly, you can calculate V2 by V also. V2 by V also. Okay, understood, children? Understood? Shall I copied? Now you can calculate V2 by V also. V2 by V also you can calculate if you want. Sometimes, so they give V1 and V2 and they ask you to find rho s. You can find rho s also if V1 and V2 are given. Okay, shall I go further? Okay, next, force of buoyancy in an accelerating liquid. Force of buoyancy in an accelerating liquid. Force of buoyancy in an accelerating liquid. Accelerating liquid. Directly, I'll give the formula. Remember, don't ask me derivation. If I do derivation, so see here. A solid is submerged inside the liquid. So initially it is at rest. Suddenly, if it starts accelerating upward, So here, if the solid was floating before, now also it will float. Okay, so even if it starts accelerating, it will float. Okay, so force of buoyancy will be upward, but new force of buoyancy, weight will be downward. Okay, so now if they ask you only force of buoyancy will be equal to volume. Here complete volume is submerged, right? Volume of the solid submerged into rho density of liquid into G plus A, If complete volume is submerged, so substitute here complete volume. Suppose if the same beaker is accelerating downward, if the same beaker is going downward, so niche ja raha hai. So if the same beaker with the solid is floating, now force of buoyancy will be still upward, but a new force of buoyancy, weight will be downward. If it is accelerating downward, now force of buoyancy will be volume of the solid submerged into density of the liquid into G minus A. So if it is freely falling, so say take a beaker, in that beaker you immerse a solid, okay, immerse a solid and you leave the beaker from certain height. So when you drop the beaker along with the solid in it, when you drop the beaker from certain height, so it will be freely falling, solid will be freely falling, water will be freely falling, beaker will be freely falling, everyone will be freely falling. Suppose if there is Muttaya here on the beaker, even Muttaya also will be freely falling. Everyone will be freely falling and force of buoyancy will be zero. Force of buoyancy will be zero. Okay, so understood? If the beaker is freely falling, if the beaker is freely falling, if the beaker is freely falling, if the beaker with a solid in it, beaker is freely falling, then force of buoyancy will be zero. Okay, quickly copy that. Then another important thing. Sir, wait, will copy. Muttaya, you have spiritual powers, right? Why can't you scan with your eyes and keep that in mind, store that in the mind? Hmm? Photo reading, not photo reading. I am learning it, Abba. Learning it. What if baker is accelerating downward, but object accelerates upward? How does object accelerate upward? How does a body accelerate upward? That body, will it have any spiritual power? Will it have any supernatural power? Sachin? Our Sachin also will ask some strange questions. Sachin. Sachin, I miss you. You have come to the class now, offline. Sachin, how does it accelerate, man? Tell me. When the baker is falling down, how does it accelerate upward? Anything is possible. Huh? Anything is possible in Sachin's world. Huh? What if A in direction of G, it should add now, what is it? Come again, Nitin. Nitin, I think he meant like a submarine. What is that? Submarine. Okay, done. Then one more important thing about this. You want to copy that still? Still I have flowing liquids, man. Bernoulli's principle applications I have to do. Okay, done. What if acceleration in the direction of gravity? I didn't understand your question only. What if acceleration is meant? What is that? I didn't understand only what is it. Type physics. Okay, done. Now, see one important thing, children. Suppose if the solid is not completely submerged, suppose it is partially submerged, partially submerged. Okay, now the beaker is at rest. Even the partially submerged solid is also at rest. What if the beaker starts accelerating vertically upward? Will the volume of solid inside the liquid increases? That means some more volume of solid increases, or same volume will be submerged inside the liquid, or less volume will be submerged. Tell me. Tell me. If it starts accelerating, so will some more volume be submerged, or will same volume will be submerged, or less volume? Yes, who will reply correctly? He will be declared as student of the day. And Muttaya, you have to give me the answer, reason. Mithul, correct. Why you are crying, man? Vaibhav, correct. Why from Amit, correct. Okay. So Sharanya, but no. Anyut, no. Chirag, Mahesh, no. No. Muttaya answered correctly. Muttaya, tell me the reason. Tejas H, no. Right. So same volume, children. Same volume. No extra volume will be submerged. Same volume. Whether it is accelerating upward or whether it is accelerating downward, remember, extra volume will not be submerged. So what is the reason? The reason behind it is, so when it accelerates upward, so it will not sink more. When it is accelerating upward, okay, so the body also has to accelerate upward, right? When the body also has to accelerate upward, right? Okay, so the body also has to accelerate upward. Okay, so to keep that acceleration, to keep the same acceleration for the body, so same volume will be submerged, no extra volume. Even this is, so in this case also, suppose there is a beaker accelerating horizontally. There is a beaker accelerating horizontally, and now if you submerge any solid, it will be like this. Even in this case also, same volume of solid will be inside the liquid. Okay, remember that. Now, that's it. I'm going to Bernoulli's principle. Flowing liquids. Okay, some more. No, sorry. Accelerating liquids we have. After that, flowing liquids. Accelerating liquids means you take a beaker. Okay, so in that beaker you fill water or any liquid. Okay, so now when it is not accelerating, when it is stationary, now the liquid surface will be perfectly horizontal when A is equal to 0. Suppose if it starts accelerating with some acceleration, then it will be like this. The liquid surface will take slant surface. The liquid surface will make certain angle with the horizontal, and so this angle is given by tan theta is equal to A by G. Remember, tan theta equal to A by G. And here we can draw equipressure lines. What are equipressure lines? Whenever a beaker containing water or any liquid is accelerating, so now see, the pressure also changes. With the distance, with the horizontal line. So here pressure is same at all points on a horizontal line. So point A, point B. So pressure at the point A is equal to pressure at the point B. Pressure at the point A equal to pressure at the point B. But now, so in the same horizontal line, in this case, So it will not be equal. Pressure at the point A is not equal to pressure at the point B. So in this case, when it is accelerating, when beaker is accelerating, in this case, now suppose the difference between the distance between A and B is L. L is the distance between A and L. Then pressure at the point A is greater by an amount rho AL. So pressure at the point A is greater by pressure at the point B by an amount rho AL. So if you travel in the opposite direction to acceleration, pressure increases. If you travel in the direction of acceleration, pressure decreases. Okay. So the reason for that is, see here. Here, when beaker is accelerating, see here. If you take horizontal line, say this is point A, this is point B. Pressure at the point A is P naught plus rho G H1. Pressure at the point B is P naught plus rho G H2, which is, so pressure at the point A is P naught plus rho G H1. So pressure at the point B is P naught plus rho G H2. So H1 is greater or H2 is greater? H1 is greater. So pressure at the point A will be more. So in a stationary beaker, pressure is same in a particular horizontal line. But in an accelerating beaker, pressure is not same in the same horizontal line. Pressure varies with the depth as well as with the horizontal line. Pressure decreases if you travel in the direction of acceleration in the same horizontal line. Pressure increases if you travel opposite to acceleration. So remember, quickly copy that. So some more important concept I'll teach. Done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Done. Okay. Then see here. In an accelerating beaker, pressure changes in the horizontal line as well as in the vertical, as well as with the depth. Okay. So you can also draw equipressure lines. What are equipressure lines? Equipressure lines. Equipressure lines are the lines in which pressure is same. Okay. So in an accelerating beaker, so how can you draw equipressure lines? So if it is accelerating with an acceleration A, the liquid surface will make certain angle. So these are equipressure lines. So to get the equipressure lines, just draw lines parallel to the surface. Lines parallel to the surface. So at all points on a particular line, so the pressure is same. Okay. So now I have a container here, and this container is completely filled with liquid. This container is completely filled with liquid and it is accelerated with an acceleration A. I have points here, A, B, C, D. Now at which point pressure will be least? At which point pressure will be least? Tell me, at which point pressure will be least? At which point pressure will be C? So pressure at the point C will be least. Pressure at the point A will be max. At this corner it is max. At this corner least. Remember, least. Okay, so do it. Done. Okay. Okay, and one more thing. The same in the same container, they may ask you what is the relation between pressures between the point A and the point B. See, children, is very, very important. When the container with the liquid is accelerating, pressure varies with the depth and also varies in the horizontal distance with the horizontal distance. Say this is L, this is H. Okay, say the corner point is C. Now, how to calculate the relation between pressures? Same way how we have calculated the potential difference between, here also you can calculate pressure difference. We have calculated potential difference between 2 points in an open circuit. Do you remember in current electricity? Current electricity, do you remember? So same way, start at the point A. Say the pressure at the point A is PA. You are going down. You have to travel like this. If you go down, pressure increases. So you have to reach first to the point C. You cannot go straight away. You cannot go straight away. So you have to come to the, we have to come vertically downward, then you have to move horizontally. PA plus rho GH minus rho AL equal to PB. Now what is PA minus PB? PA minus PB. So is equal to rho GH, rho AL minus rho GH. So or else leave like this, you'll get the relation between PB and PA. Okay. So if you want PA minus PB, PA minus PB, PB equal to rho AL minus rho GH. You understood, children? Instead of traveling rightward, if I travel, what if I travel leftward? What should I write? Rho minus rho AL or plus rho AL? Suppose here, for example, say this is point A, so and this is point C and this is point B. Okay, now tell me, children, how to calculate pressure difference? Start at the point A, say the pressure at the point A is PA. Okay, say this is H, this is L, plus rho GH. When you go down, when you go deep into the liquid, pressure increases. Now you are going against the acceleration in the horizontal line. If you go against the acceleration in the horizontal line, plus will come, plus rho AL equal to PB. So start at a particular point, say the pressure at that point is PA plus minus equal to the pressure of the ending point. Understood? Understood, children? Understood? Done? Okay, then after that, suppose I have U-shaped tube, not U-tube, U-shaped tube. This U-shaped tube, I accelerate. Before I accelerate this U-shaped tube with some liquid, say it contains some liquid. So if I don't accelerate this U-shaped tube, then the levels will be equal. Okay, the levels are equal. Say the length of horizontal section is L. The levels are equal. But the moment you start accelerating this, okay, so if you accelerate this U-shaped tube, then what will happen? In which limb level will be more and in which limb level will be less? In which limb level will be more and in which limb level will be less? First will be less. Your Ramchandra Govinda, Govinda. It is accelerating rightward. Left is more, right is less. Okay. Right. So now, I have to take all of you and live in the Thar desert. Then you will set right. Okay. So now, level difference will be created here. Okay. So level difference will be created. Once level difference is created, see here, they may ask you what is that level difference? What is that level difference? H. H calculate karna padega. To calculate this H easy. Already you know the tan theta equal to A by G formula, right? Tan theta equal to A by G. So draw a line. This is the theta. Okay, this is H. This is L, you know. Tan theta equal to A by G. Already you know that formula. That is the angle made by the liquid surface with the horizontal line. But in this diagram, A diagram में tan theta क्या हो जाएगा? A diagram में tan theta क्या हो जाएगा? H by L, opposite side by adjacent side. So A by G. So H is equal to what? So H we want AL by G. This is one of the previous year's IIT question and also mains question. Okay, H equal to AL by G. Then copy that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, another thing. Suppose I have a cylindrical tube. I have a cylindrical tube like this. Okay. So Ramesh, are you there? Sachin, Ramesh, I'm going fast. You asked me no to go fast. Okay. Now see here. See here, I have a cylindrical tube like this. Now, initially, if you fill some water or liquid in this cylindrical tube, so if the angle of contact is 90, then liquid surface will be perfectly horizontal. The liquid surface will be perfectly horizontal. Now, what if I rotate this cylindrical tube? Sachin, are you there? Sachin, Ramesh, Kulkarni. Okay. So now, let's see here. What if I rotate? See, if I don't rotate this cylindrical tube, It is not U-shaped tube. Uh, I am there, no sir. Motta will be there. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Now see here. What if I rotate? What if I rotate this cylindrical tube about its axis? If I rotate this cylindrical tube about its axis, so then the liquid will take this shape. The liquid will take this shape. See this? It will rise near the walls like this. Am I correct? Tornado. It will rise near the walls like this. So the liquid will rise certain height near the walls. Near, and say R is the radius of this tube. So now they may ask you what height, so will be, so what is the height raised by the liquid near the walls compared to the center, compared to the center. This height they may ask you. That height is R square omega square by 2g. Remember, okay, done. R square, what is the R? Radius of the tube. What is omega? Angular velocity. And so h is height raised by the liquid near the walls, near the walls. Okay, done. Okay. Okay, then next, after that, we are going to Bernoulli's principle. Today I have to complete the topics. Bernoulli's principle, done. Okay. Flowing liquids. Accelerating liquids are different, flowing liquids are different. Flowing liquids means, so liquid may flow in a pipe or a river or stream. Okay. So those are called flowing liquids. Accelerating liquid means, so a liquid will be taken in a beaker or any container, and that container as a beaker as a whole will be accelerated. That is different. Flowing liquids. The flowing liquids are flowing fluids. First, we have to understand equation of continuity. Equation of continuity. Of course, here we have what is streamline flow continuity. Okay, my spelling is correct. Okay, if my spelling is not correct, adjust. Okay, continuity. Okay, right. Now, suppose there is a pipe of non-uniform cross section. A pipe of non-uniform cross section. Now, liquid is flowing. Here, a non-viscous incompressible liquid is flowing steadily. Steadily means laminar flow. Now, here V1 is the speed and here V2 is the speed. Now, this is A1 and this is A2. Now, see children, equation of continuity tells you A1 V1 equal to A2 V2 equal to AV equal to constant. Equal to constant. What is this A into V? A into V is volume rate flow. Is volume rate flow. What is volume rate flow? Volume rate flow is nothing but the rate at which volume is flowing. So, according to equation of continuity, what volume of liquid or what mass of liquid also? What mass of liquid or volume of liquid enters at one end of the pipe in 1 second, same volume of liquid should leave the other end of the pipe in the same 1 second. So 1 second में, so जितना volume इधर enter करेगा उतना volume बाहर आना पड़ेगा. So that is equation of continuity. So mass B equal होना चाहिए. So इसीलिए आपको A1 V1 equal to A2 V2 आएगा. Now what is this volume rate flow? See this. What is the SI unit of area? Meter square. What is the SI unit of velocity? Meter per second. So here in the numerator you'll get meter cube per second. Meter cube per second means volume. So volume per second. Volume per second. So that volume per second I can write dV naught by dt. So a V symbol I'm using for velocity. V naught is the symbol for volume. V naught is the symbol for volume. So volume rate flow. And one more thing you remember, children. So I take this volume rate flow here. Volume rate flow formula is, this is very, very important. So it appears so simple, but it's very, very important in simplifying the problems. So volume rate flow is dV naught by dt equal to A rho. Now I multiply with the density. So density of the liquid into dV naught divided by dt equal to, okay, sorry, here AV, right? AV. AV is volume rate flow. Now I am multiplying with the density on both sides. Rho AV. Rho AV. Now, children, what we have in the numerator, tell me? Volume into density gives you what? Volume into density gives you what? Mass. But here we have dV, right? We have dV. So dm. dm by dt, dm by dt, dm by dt is equal to rho av. This is very, very important. Remember, later in the problems I'll ask you. Okay, rho av, or else, so in the concepts only I'll ask you rho av. So done, fatafat. dm by dt, the rate at which mass is leaving the pipe, or else the mass the rate at which mass is entering, the rate at which mass is leaving is dm by dt. dm by dt equal to rho av. Okay, what is this? A is cross sectional area. You can put capital C, capital, yeah, capital A, rho av. What is rho? Density. What is A? Cross sectional area. What is V? Velocity. Done, children? Done. Shall I go to the next one? Okay. So next, Bernoulli's principle. So what is the Bernoulli's principle? Bernoulli's principle. Suppose I have a tube of non-uniform cross section. If I have a tube of non-uniform cross section, then if I have a tube of non-uniform cross section, and this is the ground. Okay, so the sum of pressure energy, the sum of kinetic energy per unit volume, the sum of pressure energy per unit volume, and the sum of, okay, not sum of pressure energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy per unit volume remains same. So I consider two cross-sectional areas here, A1 and A2. Say here pressure is P1, here pressure is P2. Now, so this is Bernoulli's principle. P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho GH1 is equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square, so plus rho GH2, rho GH2. So the sum of these three energies is constant everywhere. We can compare this Bernoulli's principle. So between 2 points, at any 2 points, okay. So if the liquid is incompressible, non-viscous, and if the flow is steady flow. Okay, now for a horizontal pipe, how you apply? And before that, see this. P is pressure energy per unit volume. Half rho V square is kinetic energy per unit volume. Kinetic energy per unit volume. Rho GH1 is potential energy per unit volume. There. Sum of these three energies remain same. At any point, the sum of those three energies remain same. That is Bernoulli's principle. Okay. What if I apply the Bernoulli's principle for a horizontal pipe? Suppose I have a horizontal pipe like this. Okay. So if I apply Bernoulli's principle for a horizontal pipe, say this is point 1, say this is point 2. So obviously at point 2, velocity will be more. At point 1, velocity will be less. So pressure at point 1 is P2, pressure at the point 2 is P2, and pressure at the point 1 is P1. Now, they're at the same vertical height, right? They're at the same vertical height, both the points. That's why rho g h term will be cancelled. So P1, if I compare P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho g h will be same, equal to P2 plus, so half rho V square, V2 square plus rho GH, rho GH will be cancelled. So P1 plus half rho V1 square is equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square. This is the Bernoulli's principle that we apply for the horizontal pipe. This has many applications. See, children. V2 square is greater than V1 square. That means this term is more. If this term is more, this term will be less. Here, this term will be less, so this term will be more. Understand that, all of you. Where the speed of fluid flow is more, at 2, the speed is more, V2 is more. Where speed is more, their pressure is less. Where speed is less, their pressure is more. Their pressure is more. If any fluid is flowing, okay, so with the difference in speeds, so the area are, so in a region where, or at a point where speed is less, their pressure will be more. So to understand that better, see here, air wing, the side, this is the side view of the air wing, aeroplane wing. This is the side view of the aeroplane wing. When this aeroplane wing, when the aeroplane travels against the air, okay, when it goes fast, air will flow on the top of the air wing and also below the air wing. So the shape of the air wing will be such a way that the air rushes on the top, the air flows slowly at the bottom. Speed is less. Where speed is less, pressure is more. Here speed is more, so pressure is less. So pressure difference will be created between the bottom and the top. So because of this pressure difference, so the aeroplane can fly, can balance its weight. Okay, then like that, there are so many applications. Then we have Torricelli's theorem. Torricelli's theorem, very, very important. Torricelli's theorem. What is Torricelli's theorem? Or speed of efflux. Speed of efflux. Speed of efflux. Speed of efflux. Okay, now see children, I'll take a beaker here. Okay, I take a beaker, I make a hole. Okay, I make a hole after filling some liquid. Without filling liquid, if I make a hole, all that liquid will leak. Okay, I make a hole here at the bottom. Liquid will be leaking out. Okay, say I'll make a hole at a depth h. Now speed of efflux is root over 2gh. Root over 2gh. But here, when you consider the speed of liquid outside the hole is much greater than the speed of liquid inside. Okay, so this is the speed of efflux. Then they may ask you questions like this. Okay, if you don't neglect, what if you don't neglect the speed of liquid inside? Okay, if you don't neglect speed of liquid inside, how to solve? See, I make a hole here. It will come like this. Okay, so now A is the cross-sectional area of the tank. Small a is the cross-sectional area of the hole. Now this liquid will be flowing like this, like a tube of non-uniform cross-section. It flows as if there is a tube of non-uniform cross-section. So we can apply A1 V1 equal to A2 V2. A1 V1 equal to A2 V2. But before that, I have to consider 2 points. I consider 2 points here. Point 1 is inside the beaker. Point 2 is outside the hole. But point 1 and point 2 are at the same vertical height. When I apply Bernoulli's principle, so rho g h term will not be there. Okay. So now first we apply this A into V1. Say the speed of the particle here is V1 and the speed of the particle here is V2. Obviously V2 is greater. Equal to A into V2. Say this is equation number 1. Now apply Bernoulli's principle. P1 plus half rho V1 square is equal to, so P2 plus half rho V2 square. Okay, children. Now, what is P1? Pressure at this point. Pressure at the surface is P0. Go deep into the liquid by an amount h. Say the hole is made at a depth h. The hole is made at a depth h. Now P1 equal to P0 plus rho gh. Am I correct? P0 plus rho gh. So point 1 is at a depth h. Point 1 is at a depth h inside the liquid. So what is the pressure at that point? P0 plus rho gh plus half rho V1 square is equal to point 2 is open to atmosphere. Point 2. Why? Because the liquid has come out already and it is open to atmosphere. So pressure here is P0 plus half rho V2 square. Now abhi kya karna? Kya nikalna? What we have to calculate? What we have to pull? V2 value we have to fill. V2, that is the speed of the liquid at the hole. We have to pull. We have to eliminate V1. How we can eliminate? How we can eliminate with the alpha of equation number 1? P0 will be cancelled. So rho GH plus half rho, what is V1 square? So A square from equation number 1, A square V2 square divided by A square is equal to half rho V2 square. So rho will go. Multiply the whole equation with the 2. So 2GH plus A square V A square V2 square divided by A square equal to V2 square divided by, okay, we are multiplying with the 2, right? It will go. Now we want V2. Okay, so bring all V2 to one side. So 2GH is equal to V2 square into 1 minus A square by A square, or else final expression V2 equal to root over 2GH divided by root over 1 minus A square by A square. You remember this formula? Okay, so if small a is 0, is negligible, then you'll get root over 2GH only. And one more thing, sometimes they'll keep one piston of mass m on the surface. They'll keep one piston of mass m. Then what is the speed of efflux, they ask you. Then at the point 1, if they keep a piston here of mass m, then pressure at the point 1 should be equal to P0 plus mg by a, the weight of piston also will exert one pressure, that is weight by a plus rho gh, that you have to substitute here, that we have to substitute here. You understood, children? If there is some piston there. Okay, copy this. Now this is without piston. If there is piston, then you have to weigh pressure at point 1 will differ and formula also will differ. Okay, done? Then after that, shall we go to the next one? Inside the root. Okay, here inside root will not be there. Yeah, thank. Sorry. In that flow I wrote. Okay. In that flow I wrote. Okay. Root over 2gh 1 minus a square base. No, inside root will not be there. Okay, next. Children, remember this. Inside root is not there. Only root is there for this. For this, that's all. Inside the root will not be there. Done. Okay, next. So this is also important. Suppose we are applying Bernoulli's principle only. Subrata Rai, we are applying Bernoulli's principle only. All these are the applications of Bernoulli's principle. Here Ramchandra, Govinda. Okay, now another important concept. We are applying Bernoulli's principle only in all this. I make a small hole here. I make a small hole here. Okay, and assume that here the cross-sectional area of this hole is very much small compared to the this tank. Then speed of efflux will be root over 2gh only. If you neglect the cross-sectional area of the hole compared to the tank, then speed of efflux will be root over 2gh. Say the depth of the hole is h. So remember, children, speed of efflux depends on depth. Speed of efflux depends on depth of the hole. Say the total height of the liquid in the beaker is h. Now, what is this remaining height? What is the height of the liquid from the ground? H minus h. Now, once the liquid particle comes out of the hole, it behaves like a horizontal projectile. It is like a horizontal projectile. So this is horizontal projectile. So what is the horizontal range? Horizontal range is equal to, children, remember this, horizontal velocity into time of flight. Horizontal velocity into time of flight. What is time of flight here? Time of flight depends on height of the hole. So root over 2 into h minus h divided by g. Time of flight of the liquid particle is, this is the general formula, 2 into height of hole divided by g. That is the time of flight. That is the time taken by the liquid particle to reach the ground. Okay, so range is equal to, what is speed of efflux? Root over 2gh. Time of flight, see this formula, time of flight. Time of flight depends on height of the hole. Speed depends on depth of the hole. Depth, height of the hole. Understood, all of you? Speed of efflux depends on depth of the hole. Time of flight depends on height of the hole. So into root over 2 into h minus h divided by g. So now, so everything you can put in the root, in the same root, and gg gets cancelled, and you'll get 4h into h minus h. So this is horizontal range. Sometimes they ask you, so at what height the hole should be made so that horizontal range will be maximum. Okay, so here in this case the hole should be made at h equal to h by 2 to have maximum range. Okay, so you can differentiate this function. You can differentiate with respect to small h to get maximum height. Sorry, to get maximum range. Okay, at what depth or at what height, so hole should be made to have maximum range. This maximum range formula is not same in all cases, but this is the concept. This is how we have to calculate. What is the speed of efflux and what is the time of flight? So range is basically this. So I want to tell you this. In different cases, it will be different. Say basically horizontal range is speed of efflux into time of flight. Remember, speed of efflux depends on depth of hole. So time of flight depends on height of the hole from the ground. That's it. Okay. Tomorrow I'll start the problems. Thank you, children. Bye.